Hello everyone. Welcome to our PyTorch series. Today we are starting with the absolute foundation, tensors. By the end of this episode, you'll understand what PyTorch is, what tensors are, and how to work with them like a pro. Let's dive in. Before we dive into code, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered how Instagram recognizes faces in your photos? Or how YouTube recommends videos that you actually want to watch? The answer is deep learning. And one of the most powerful tools that makes this possible is PyTorch. Think of PyTorch as a super powerful calculator designed specifically for AI. Just like Excel is perfect for handling spreadsheets, PyTorch is perfect for building AI models. It was developed by Facebook's AI Research Lab. And now it's used by companies like Tesla, OpenAI, and even our own Indian startups. The beautiful part about PyTorch is that it's Pythonic, flexible, fast, and has huge community support. Now, let's get our hands dirty with code. First things first. We need to install PyTorch. There are two versions, one for CPU and one for GPU. Since most of us are practicing on laptops, we'll install the CPU version. If you have a GPU, you can install the GPU version later. Let's install PyTorch and verify our setup. I'm importing Torch and checking the version. Then I'm checking GPU availability. CUDA is NVIDIA's technology for GPU computing. If CUDA available shows false, it means we are using the CPU version. And that's perfectly fine for learning. Think of it this way. CPU is like a reliable sedan car. It gets you everywhere. GPU is like a sports car. Much faster for specific tasks. For learning, our sedan is absolutely fine. Now comes the most important concept, tensors. Let me explain this with a real-world example. Imagine you open CRICBIS to check yesterday's match scorecard. You see rows of players and columns of statistics. Things like runs, balls, force, sixes, strike rate. This is essentially a 2D tensor. Rows of players, columns of statistics. The numbers are organized in a structured format that we can perform calculations on. Tensors come in different dimensions. A 0D tensor is just a single number, like temperature 38 degrees. A 1D tensor is a list of numbers, like runs scored in each over. A 2D tensor is a table, like our cricket scorecard. And 3D tensors? They're like multiple scorecards stacked together, used for more complex data. Let's create tensors and see this in action. Let's start simple. We'll create a 0D tensor. Just a single number. Think of it as storing today's temperature or one player's score. I'm creating a scalar tensor with the value 32.5. Look at the output. It shows the value 32.5. And notice a few important things. Number of dimensions is 0. This confirms it's a scalar, just a single value. Shape is empty, shown as torch.size with empty brackets. That's because there are no dimensions to measure. Data type is float 32. PyTorch automatically figured out this is a decimal number. The type, or data type, is super important in PyTorch. It determines how much memory is used and how calculations are performed. Think of it like choosing between a small car or a truck. Both transport you, but different capacities. Now, let's create a 1D tensor, also called a vector. This is like a list of numbers. Perfect for storing things like runs scored in each over of a cricket match. I'm creating a tensor representing runs scored in the first 5 overs of 80-20 match. The values are 6, 4, 8, 12, and 5 runs. Look at the output. Number of dimensions is 1. This is a 1D tensor, or vector. Shape is torch.size with 5 in brackets. This means it contains 5 elements. Notice the data type is int64. PyTorch detected these are whole numbers, so it used integer type instead of float. This saves memory. We can access individual elements using indexing. Just like Python lists. Runs in first over, index 0, gives us 6. Runs in last over, index -1, gives us 5. The negative indexing works exactly like Python. Now, we are getting to the interesting part. A to D tensor, or matrix. This is like a table or spreadsheet. Perfect for our cricket scorecard example. I'm creating a cricket scorecard as a 2D tensor. We have 3 players and 4 statistics. Rohit Sharma scored 65 runs from 48 balls with 7 fours and 2 sixes. Virat Kohli scored 82 from 51 balls. KL Rahul scored 45 from 38 balls. Look at the structure. Number of dimensions is 2. It's a matrix. Shape is torch.size, 3 by 4. This means 3 rows and 4 columns. Just like a table. Now, accessing data from a 2D tensor is like accessing a spreadsheet. First index is the row, second index is the column. Rohit's stats, index 0, gives us his complete row. All the runs scored, that's column index 0 across all rows, gives us 65, 82, and 45. And we can access individual cells too. Virat's balls faced, row 1 column 1, gives us 51. This is exactly how you'd work with a spreadsheet, but in code. Now that we know how to create tensors, let's do some operations. Tensors support all basic mathematical operations. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And the cool part? These operations work element-wise. Meaning each element is operated on independently. Let's create 2 vectors representing runs scored by 2 batsmen in each over. Batsmen are scored 6, 8, 4, 10, and 5 runs. Batsman B scored 4, 6, 7, 5, and 8 runs. Now I can add these tensors. The plus operator adds corresponding elements. Over 1, 6 plus 4 equals 10. Over 2, 8 plus 6 equals 14. And so on. This gives us total runs scored in each over by both batsmen. Multiplication works similarly. Element-wise multiplication. If we multiply by 6, we are converting runs to balls. Assuming each run takes 1 ball, 6 runs needs roughly 6 balls. And here's a useful operation. Batsman A.sum gives us total runs scored, which is 33. Batsman A.mean gives us average runs per over, which is 6.6. These statistical operations are super handy in data analysis. One of the most important skills in PyTorch is reshaping tensors. Sometimes we need to change the shape of our data without changing the actual values. It's like rearranging the same furniture in different layouts in a room. I'm creating a tensor with values 1 through 12. Originally, it's a 1D vector with 12 elements. Now, I can reshape it into a 3 by 4 matrix. Same 12 elements, but arranged as 3 rows and 4 columns. Look at the output. The values are the same, just organized differently. I can also reshape it as 4 by 3. Now, we have 4 rows and 3 columns. Notice how the elements fill in row by row. And here's a useful trick. I can use -1 as a dimension. This tells PyTorch to figure out that dimension automatically. When I say reshape to by -1, PyTorch calculates, we have 12 elements and 2 rows, so it must be 6 columns. This gives us a 2 by 6 matrix. This automatic calculation is super helpful when you don't know the exact size but you know one dimension. Just like Python lists, tensors support powerful indexing and slicing. This lets us extract specific portions of our data. Super useful when working with large datasets. Let me create a math-stats tensor. 5 overs by 3 metrics. Runs, wickets, and dots for each over. Now, watch this. I can extract just the first over, index 0. This gives me all 3 stats for over 1. I can get all the runs scored. That's all rows, column 0. Colon means all rows, 0 means first column. This gives us runs for all 5 overs. And here's where it gets powerful. I can slice rows. Index 1 to 3 means overs 2 and 3. Not including index 3. Then colon 2 means columns 0 and 1. Runs and wickets only. This gives us a 2 by 2 matrix. Runs and wickets for overs 2 and 3. This kind of slicing is incredibly useful when analyzing specific portions of your data. PyTorch provides several convenient methods to create special tensors. Instead of manually typing values, we can use these helper functions. Let me show you the most common ones. First, torch.zeros creates a tensor filled with zeros. I'm creating a 3 by 4 matrix of zeros. This is useful for initializing placeholders. Torch.ones creates all ones. Here's a 2 by 3 matrix of ones. Useful when you need a starting point for calculations. Torch.arrange creates a sequence of numbers. Just like Python's range. From 0 to 9 gives us 0, 1, 2, up to 9. Great for creating index sequences. And here's a really cool one. Torch.rand creates random numbers between 0 and 1. This 2 by 3 matrix has random values. Every time you run this, you'll get different numbers. This is super important for initializing neural network weights. Finally, torch.ones_like. This creates a tensor of ones with the same shape as another tensor. I'm creating ones with the same shape as my zeros tensor. Both are 3 by 4. This is handy when you need matching dimensions. Here's where PyTorch gets really powerful. Tensors can live on the CPU or on the GPU. CPU is your computer's main processor. GPU is a specialized processor designed for parallel computations. Think of it like this. CPU is a very smart person who can do complex tasks one at a time. GPU is like having 1,000 people who can do simple tasks simultaneously. For AI, we often have thousands of simple calculations. That's where GPU shines. By default, tensors are created on the CPU. Look, I'm creating a tensor and checking its device. It shows CPU now. If we have a GPU available, we can move tensors to it using the .to method. I'm checking if CUDA is available. If yes, I move the tensor to CUDA. If not, it stays on CPU. Here's something important. You cannot do operations between CPU and GPU tensors directly. They need to be on the same device. If my tensor is on GPU, I need to move it back to CPU to print or use with CPU tensors. The .cpu method does this. For this course, we'll mostly use CPU. It's perfectly fine for learning. When you move to production or training large models, that's when GPU becomes essential. But the code structure stays the same. Just change the device. Let's put everything together with a real-world example. Imagine you're analyzing movie ratings from different reviewers. We'll use tensors to store ratings, perform calculations, and extract insights. This is the kind of data manipulation you'll do constantly in AI. I'm creating a movie ratings tensor. 5 movies rated by 3 reviewers on a scale of 1 to 10. Each row is a movie. Each column is a reviewer. Now, let's analyze. I can get the average rating for movie 1. That's row 0, take the mean. Movie 1 got an average of 7.67 stars. Not bad. I can see all ratings from reviewer 2. That's all rows, column 1. They gave 8, 6, 9, 7, and 8. Here's where it gets interesting. Which movie got the highest average rating? I calculate mean across columns, dimension 1. This gives average for each movie. Then argmax finds the index of maximum value. Movie index 2, which is the third movie, has the highest average rating of 8.33. And we can find overall statistics. Max gives the highest rating anyone gave, which is 10. Min gives the lowest, which is 5. Mean of everything gives overall average of 7.53. This is exactly how you'd analyze real data in machine learning. Tensors make these calculations super easy and efficient. Congratulations! You've just learned the foundation of PyTorch. Let's recap what we covered today. We started with understanding what PyTorch is. A powerful framework for deep learning. Then, we dove into tensors, the building blocks of all AI operations. We learned about different dimensions, 0D scalars, 1D vectors, 2D matrices, and beyond. We practiced creating tensors in multiple ways. From manual values, using helper functions like zeros and ones, and random initialization. We learned tensor operations, addition, multiplication, and statistical functions. We mastered reshaping, changing tensor shapes without changing values. We explored indexing and slicing, extracting specific portions of data. And we understood CPU versus GPU placement, where tensors live and how to move them. Finally, we put it all together with a movie rating analysis example. This showed how tensors handle real-world data. In the next episode, we'll learn about automatic differentiation, the magic that makes AI learn. We'll understand gradients and how PyTorch computes them automatically. This is where things get really exciting. Practice what you learned today. Try creating your own tensors. Maybe analyze cricket scores or movie ratings. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. See you in episode 2.